I'm Elwirfy, and today we're going to be checking out this awesome army that I put together. It's 2,000 points roughly. This army was made before the FAQ, so stuff might be cheaper, stuff might be more expensive. But overall, since most things got a points reduction, although I don't think these units, everything here that I'm using, actually got affected. Brother Cobolo might be a little cheaper, and you can make Tech Marines a little cheaper, so you might be able to fit in more stuff. But for the most part, this army has not changed in point cost. So this should still be valid, and if there's any issues, my recommendation, just so you know, is to get rid of drop pods. Start cutting drop pods if stuff's too expensive. If you have more stuff, get more intercessors if they fit. If not, get tactical squads. And maybe assault squads would be a good addition to this army if you have the points for it, of course. Now, again, I'm pretty sure this is a pretty stable army. Now, I've already set up everything here, as you can see. I'm just going to run through the army real quick to kind of talk about what we're going to be doing with it so you guys can see what we're doing. So, let's start with the HQs, of course. We have our warlord here, Brother Cobolo himself. He's just got standard. All the HQs are standard. They don't. All the equipment comes with them. These Tech Marines, because of the update, there just be bolter Tech Marines with no power axe, nothing fancy. You don't want to use up those points. This is just as you see it. A custom captain that I've found on the internet of the Steam Workshop, who's got a power sword, bolt pistol, all that normal captain stuff. And then troops. For troops, we're using 5 squads of 5 models each in a squad of intercessors with bolt rifles, and they have the grenade launcher. All bare bones, totally bare bones squads. For heavy support, we have 3 Hellblaster squads, each with their plasma incinerators. No heavy plasma versions, just the regular ones, but they can still supercharge, so that's how you get some extra damage in there. And then the main theme of the army, I guess you could say, the part that makes it unique, is 5 dropships with 5 tactical squads of 5 Marines in each one. So a lot of 5s, a lot of groups of 5 here. And each tactical squad is armed with just bolters, and then their lieutenant, of course. There's nothing fancy or unique about these tactical squads. They're there to provide a screen, right? And of course we have data cards for all of them. Like you can look at the drop pod here. You can zoom in. Oh, check that out. You can look at all that nice stuff. You can look at intercessors. And I do have some objectives laid out here. For example, this is how you'd set up. Along with your army, you're also going to need, and I did not remember to grab this. Let me grab this now. Your detachments. So what is this actually, what kind of stuff is this? Well, this is actually only 2 battalion detachments. That's all it is. But that'll give us command points. It's a turn counter. I do not have my command point counter on here. But this is essentially a 9 command point army, which is pretty good, actually, for Blood Angels, especially since we're not using any of the jump pack stratagems, because obviously we don't have any jump packs in this army. So we'll be using that to reroll dice, interrupt in battle, because we have some pretty decent commanders. And, of course, you're also going to need your dice. I have some custom Blood Angels dice here, looking very good. Actually, really enjoying that. And we're now going to go ahead and check out the board itself for this example, because I want to show off how we'd actually be using this army. Now, when we go into deployment, the first thing you should always do, one, you need to know that you're not getting first turn. Go into here expecting not to get first turn, but that's okay for once, because you're going to be setting up in such a way that it doesn't matter. Now, the rules say that you can't come in from deep strike on turn 1, which is also okay because we're a shooting army in this particular case. So we'll be very good. And I'm going to try and give you the worst case scenario deployment-wise of how we'd use this army. Because obviously dice and things are going to affect, and we can't predict that. We can only plan for deployment, what we bring to the battlefield, and the way we prepare to counter the enemy. So let's say we deployed these 5. So that's 5 deployments. I've already set up a board and some objectives. And then let's say the Tau go ahead and they come in and they put out 5 squads of infantry there, just fire warriors. They're 35 points each. This is the Tau army we're going to use for the example. You'll get to watch me set it up as we go, so you can kind of think about it. And I'll try and be as aggressive with the Tau. The Tau also have a lot, though. This actually might be the one time where Blood Angels might get the +1 for their roll to see if they go first. But for the most part, as Blood Angels with this big of an army, don't expect to be going first. So what would we do next? We've got our reserves out. They put out all their shrimpy weak units, which is to be expected. I don't expect them to use their big battle suits until, I know, they might even deploy in reserve as well. This isn't going to be perfect. So what do we want to do? Heavy support is what we're going to be wanting to check out. We're going to go ahead and grab those guys. Try not to drop them. It's very annoying to have to deal with that. And we're going to put them on the back objectives. Always put your Hellblasters in the back because that obviously you don't want them to get shot right away, because they're kind of the most important units in this army, because they're the only ones who are going to be able to deal with damage, especially Tau. You just need to be aware of how valuable these guys are. So we're going to be setting up some, obviously some defenses based on this. So let's say they just keep deploying. I believe certain battle suits can come from the sky. Let me see. Abilities. Because I haven't played these guys. Transport for the greater good. I'm not sure what for the greater good means. Okay, you don't. The Crisis battle suits, they have Deep Strike, right? Manta Strike. It's the same thing. I don't know why they keep changing it. You're right. So these battle suits with their drones will go ahead and also be put into reserve. And they are looking in the reverse way for no reason. So they'll be put into reserve. What would our next deployment be? Well, again, just keep working on those heavy supports, because heavy support is really what's going to win you this battle here. Now again, looking at this board, you'll notice it's weighted this side, and you'll notice that the enemy has also weighted their troops. You can go up to 12 inches for deployment if it's Dawn of War. This is a Dawn of War example. I'm only going to be covering Dawn of War because that's the most common way to do it. But essentially, if you're doing Hammer and Anvil, do the same deployment I'm going to do, but squish it essentially. So we're 12 inches is there. Right? Wait, let me double check. Right, wholly within 12 inches. So, let's go ahead and put these guys here. We're going to want to make sure that we have our sergeants in the back so we can give that boosted morale. And these guys are going to pretty much run up to the objective to take that and help secure it as best as they can. Oh, some weird models that are floating there. Better get rid of those. Alright, so now we go to the Tau deployment. Tau would deploy. Again, just putting, not the marker drone, no, all of their, nope. Again, the mouse is a little fidgety for me. You guys probably won't have this problem, but I have trouble with my mouse right now. Okay, so they put more in reserve because that's a smart thing to do. Then we'll grab these Hellblasters, put them on the other side probably. So whichever side has more objectives, it's nice to have more troops there, but you don't want to forget that the enemy could overstack on this side. So your probably best bet is also going to be to try to put units over here. Again, we'll measure out to 12. That doesn't feel accurate. Hold on. 10, 12. Okay. To there. So we'll go ahead and just move these guys. Again, getting ready to rush them to cover, right? So the plan, in this map you can't deploy in cover. So that means first turn shooting is brutal. But we're not going to be covering first turn. We're going to be talking about second turn for how we would deploy our drop pods. That's the main thing. So again, the Tau have one more Crisis battle suit who can deploy into Deep Strike, which they should always be doing. There's no reason not to at all. Ah, shoot. This game has some serious auto-rise issues that need to be fixed. Again, no one said this is perfect, but remember, you're playing 40k for free, so can't complain too much. Instead of having to spend a bunch of money on, models that take forever to paint. Alright, boom. So we just deployed that Crisis Suit Squad. Now we should start deploying our HQs. This is something interesting to talk about. For Tech Marines, they're not that important. So we're actually just going to deploy our Tech Marines behind cover, because again, they can't repair anything in this battlefield, so that's okay. Now let me check and see if these broadside battle suits, if they, Cold Star, Manta Strike, Cold Star battle suit. What are you? Hold on. Oh, Commander Crisis battle suit. You have Manta Strike. Oh, these guys have Manta Strike too. Tower really are a deep striking force. Alright, so he'll be Manta Striking in. So that's something to note. So if you have enemies deep striking behind you, you want to check that 9-inch bubble. Right? The way you deploy. Because you need to know where the enemy can come from. So they're going to come in your back lines. And this is something to think about. So what you can do with your HQs is you can just put them in the middle. the board. Like you would do is you'd go here, you'd measure up 9 inches right there, take your guy, put him right there. Again, you're using HQs to block potential deep strikes that could come in, right? So you go here, you measure diagonally, because that's the best way to do it, I think, to 9 right there. You know, actually, we should, yeah. So next time when you're deploying, deploy HQs in this army, since it's a shooting army, in areas that'll block deep strike zones, right? So now they can't deploy there. For this guy over here, they'd have to deploy all the way up there. And again, we're going to be rushing forward, and they can't come in first turn. So it's very important to note. All right, so we've deployed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 11. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 versus 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so they're deploying. Right, they're deploying. Can these guys go into deep strike? Let me just see. Broadside battle suits. Crisis battle suit. Maybe that's it. What are you? Riptide battle suit. Broadside battle suit. Oh, I think this is a broadside battle. Yeah, broadside battle suits. They do not have Manta Strike, so these guys have to come in on the table, which is fine. It's not the end of the world. I mean, I guess they're not, don't have any jumping things. So if I was them, looking at the objectives, we'll just look at it from the tower perspective. We still want to get this objective, and I'm thinking, or what's the range on them actually? Because they're just a fire. Because again, our fire warriors are the ones who are actually going to be doing the objective scoring. What's the range on their guns? 60? All right. I guess they'll be doing the same thing as we would be doing, covering their butts on that deep strike zone. The cool part is they can even use drones to help mitigate this, because they can go do something like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so if they just come over here, keeping within 2 inches of each other, they have to be for coherency. Oh, move that back a little. Again, they have a range of 60. And you can put the drone forward. Again, it's giving yourself good space. Just, yeah. Because what you're doing is, because when both armies are deep striking, you need to understand how to deploy correctly. Now, where? Oh, they somehow landed over there. So we would start deploying our actual intercessors, right? We'd be getting ready for the attack. So we have this nice little bunker right here. I don't think we can quite deploy up to it, but we can deploy 12 inches up. Let's just count up the 12 inches. 10, 11, 12, right to there. So we'll go ahead and take these intercessors, and we'll just go ahead and put them exactly where we need to be, right there, in a big line. We want them to be having maximum potentials to open fire, right? So now essentially we gotta use our intercessors to screen for the objectives we're holding, and to, what they need to do is rush forward and start shooting, because these guys can fire at a range of 30, right? So we gotta take this intercessor, if you measure out, yeah, because fire warriors have the same range as intercessors, so they're shooting across this whole map, definitely getting cover. This is tough to see. Actually, you might not even be able to see them. You can kind of see them, but it's tough. So there's definitely cover saves there. So this is not going to be easy to cross. If there were vehicles, you'd maybe drive vehicles up. But again, this is for an infantry army. Sorry. So we're going back over the fire warriors. Again, let's get that fire base going. In my opinion, I think that's a good way to deploy. Again, if you're Tau, obviously forgive me. I'm not perfect at playing Tau. There might be a better way to deploy this kind of an army, but I'm doing the best of my ability, so I can show you how we deploy as Blood Angels. Because remember, this is still a Blood Angels focus thing. So we'd probably just put them on the crater. Are you locked or something? Why aren't you? Oh, it's just going through the crater. That's nice. So here we go. We got the battle suit here. That'll look pretty good. Maybe move. There's no way to make it look good. There's no way to make it look good. Let's put him in the crater. Maybe put the drone off to the side. Yeah, because he's floating. That's fine. Just making sure there's still 2-inch coherency. Yep, 2-inch coherency. Alright, so we have that. So now let's put up another, right, so as the Blood Angels, right, we're looking at deployment, right, and we're thinking, okay, how are we doing it? We see these heavy guys being deployed. There's not too much we can do. We have our Hellblasters already deployed because we want the enemy to have to respond to our threat, not us have to respond to his threat, because that implies you're giving your opponent the chance to be more intimidating, to take advantage of the situation and control the flow of the battlefield. So, for me, personally, on this kind of a map, and I can look at other maps too if you guys wish, this is just one example, we're going to go ahead and deploy more of our intercessors in the middle, and again, just to have that good line of shooting that we need, since this is a shooting army. Ultramarines might do this better, but I play Blood Angels, so this is what we're doing. And this isn't a very thematic to Blood Angels army. We'll go ahead and be looking at a more thematic version of a Blood Angels army on probably a different map also later on. So, now that we've deployed that, if you're Tau, you're looking at this, how would I have so many troops, to be honest. Then I'm thinking, man, got some good ranges here. Again, this is hard to spot, but you can still see them because intercessors are taller than fire warriors. But of course, anyone who knows the way line of sight works is that if you can see them, they can see you. So we go ahead and now maybe a central fire base to help push up the middle, help make sure you have that wide range of gunfire. So again, putting them in the back, you don't need to do anything fancy. Maybe even putting them on the road, like along the road with some cover, just to make sure you got a good angle on those Hellblasters, for example. Could be good. You could even take this guy, maybe push him up to the cover, give him some cover. Like that. Yeah, let's make sure they're within the 12. Oh, he can go up further. Yeah, just to make sure you have that good range. And remember, models can be tilted on terrain, but not against other models. I believe that's a rule still. If that rule has changed, let me know. Maybe it was never a rule. I've always played that way. Is that you can tilt your models if they're leaning on terrain, but not if they're leaning against other models. Now again, we're going to go over to this flank. They're going to be out in the open a bit, but that's okay because we have this guy covering. But we need to make sure that character can't get sniped. So now it's up to us to make sure that we deploy. Oh, is that a little too far forward? I think it is. Let me double check this. I think I accidentally put them. No, these guys are just back a bit. Hold on. I might have messed up deployment. Because if you can get all the way up to... Yeah. If you can get all the way up, you want to take advantage of that. Because you want to make sure you have the cover. No matter what, you must make sure you're in cover. Otherwise, you're less likely to be able to... maybe put them over here for balance. Yeah, there we go. Yep, everything's going on the 12 line. I just made a mistake on one deployment section. Right, so... what you're doing again is you're just making another screen. You want to make sure that your screen good. Let's go ahead and measure up 12. And if you're wondering how you do that, all you do is you with a grabby hand, I think I mentioned this already, you F1 and then you hit tab and then you drag across, not clicking. You're not holding click, you're just holding tab. So we can pull this guy back a bit, we'll pull this guy back a bit. We'll rotate him to make sure he's over there, and then we'll go ahead and turn this unit to face over there, and we'll go ahead and make sure we have this unit here. Again, moving around. Alright, now we got that deployed. Let's go ahead and go back over the Tau. I know this is taking a little while to get through all the deployment, but this is how long it takes in, in real life. Heck, it's worse in real life because you have to get up and walk around the table and check line of sight, and this is just much easier because you can zoom in on stuff. So again, we'd probably protect our fire base. We'd get probably a balance. I like balance. Some people like to overload one side. I'm not that kind of person, but maybe you are. Who knows? So yeah, this is good. Just putting the fire base over here. Is that right? Yeah. Yes. Weird. Oh, it's just because of the terrain. That's why it looks funky, because that's a curve and that's a straight line. Okay. Alright then, now that we have deployed over there, what would we do? So I'm looking at this, right? I'm thinking, as a Blood Angels player, I'm thinking, okay, we're going to have some shooting. We're able to hit each other at this range already. Like, we're all going to be shooting. All that matters is getting into cover, so we need to take this... sorry about that. We're going to take this unit, and why are we not placing our HQs right now? Because HQs give buffs, so you can see where you need the buffs the most. Obviously, some people, again, my way isn't always perfect. If you feel the need to, of course, deploy in such a way Now, we will put these guys up on the crater. Well, actually, I don't think they get a cover bonus. Can we get a cover bonus? Maybe. Maybe not. Yeah. Also because it looks kind of cool. I mean, half of Warhammer is just having fun looking at cool models. So you take this unit, and... Boop. So yeah, maybe we'd have some troops up here ready to charge off the crater. And they have a good line of sight on this. I mean, heck, they might even be able to reach 30 range. Nope, not quite able to reach, but pretty good about over here. Like, what are we actually hitting? Nope. So just out of range of some of the stuff. Some of it. Alright, so that was a Blood Angel deployment. Let's take a look at this Riptide. Riptide, do you have... No, you do not. Alright. So, we'll go ahead and... Oh, damn. You know, guys. It's not perfect. But we'll go ahead and just deploy it there. Good central defense. Make sure he's got good range on everything. Yeah, making sure you're really busting those guys up. I'm just gonna fix this mess real quick. Yeah, because we have a commander here. Fire warrior squad there. Strike team. Strike team. Did they fall off? Some more guys over here? No. Let's see. Should be 2 of these commanders. Let's see, we got the ethereal. Okay, so maybe just 1 group of 5. Got knocked over. Not gonna freak out that much over, but it's still kind of just annoying. Right, because we have that. Did I already play a commander? Maybe I already deployed a commander. That's okay. Commander, maybe I did put a commander down. I don't think I did. I might have to copy paste. Nothing under the table. So I do know for sure there's 2 commanders, so I don't know where that second commander went. Oh, Cold Star Commander. Oh, right. He can deploy there. Whatever. So we deployed our big guy. So now we deploy our last squad. Now this last squad is here to help out with the screening. So if you look around, where do we possibly need to protect our lines from deep strike? So let's take a look. For these guys, 9. Because this is our main fire base. So if 9 goes to there, that spot, we might string men along the back. Keeping 2 inches away at minimum to help us guarantee a bit more of a border. And that's just one way to deploy it. You don't have to. Keeping them 2 inches away, we're really stretching these guys. Just to make sure that we have a good protected deep strike zone. That's something you can do. You can sprint guys out. It's your option. You have the right to. So then them, what will they be doing? Obviously the commander will deploy in reserve. Boom. Commander deploys. Then we have to deploy our stuff. So let's put a captain. Let's take the captain, put him over here in the back lines as well, to block off that aura of deployment. All right, we'll take the ethereal now. We can go ahead and put the ethereal. Oh no, I dropped him. Stupid mouse. We'll take the ethereal. We'll put him just behind there. I'm not quite sure what kind of buffs he does. I don't know what kind of boosts. Also, I just don't know. I don't play Tau. Then we'll take ours. So I guess in this case we would deploy first. In this particular scenario, Brother Kabolo needs to be right in the middle of that crowd. Brother Kabolo, you want to keep in the middle. He heals people, so you got to expect when people are going to start dying, you want to put people in the middle. And to be honest, considering the way the bubbles actually work, you could probably advance this squad forward, like, significantly. Yeah, because that 9-inch bubble will still them. Yes, you have the fire base, the captain in the back, giving that bubble of 9 inches to make sure that the enemy can't deploy behind you. You can move them up closer, to be honest. Just don't put them in the road, for example, anywhere in the direct line of fire. And then Tau get to keep deploying. They have a lot of fire warriors, so let's just deploy these guys real quick here. Gonna do it haphazardly. And again, they know I have drop pods too, so they'd probably also be deploying in the Mac. Because they also have 30-inch guns, so very useful indeed. Almost mirroring, you'd almost want to mirror what you already deployed with the Tau, and then you probably spread out your troops. I'll spread them out in a second. Just gonna lay out where exactly they're meant to go, so that way it's a little easier for me to manage where I'm placing them. So let's grab these guys. More strike teams. Strike teams, only 35 points. I think it's a bit nuts. Now, maybe their shooting isn't the best. I'm not sure about their stats. Oh, shoot, hold on. There needs to be more support on this side. This side has almost nothing. So, let's look at this. Strike team can come up to here. So let's go ahead and deploy them. Yeah, these guys definitely... You want to defend each side. Excuse me for that. I did not mean to have that happen. So yeah, boom. Squad of 5 warriors deployed over there. And then probably another squad of 5 would be sent to the front there. Get those fire warriors deployed. Again, sorry if this is a little slow, but this is all just talk about deployment. We're not going to talk about combat. We're not going to talk about anything else. Just think about the way we deploy. And you can look at, how I'm deploying the Tau, and I'm thinking about, well, how would the Tau deploy similar to Blood Angels, right? You're covering area. You're just covering area. That's all you're doing. And then you have 2 more fire warrior squads. So, or I guess I should say 2 more strike teams. Probably put a squad there and put a squad over there. I mean, well, what do you need to put a squad over there? I suppose so. Can't hurt anything to just have double ranks of everything. Or maybe it does, I don't know. Maybe Tau guys like putting all your infantry in the front. Yeah, these guys could come in the back. Because that would mean you could move this guy forward more. That's the thing. You can even put him up on here. Yep. Put him in the front to protect himself. And then you just have fire warriors holding down the fort, I suppose you could say, with their rifles. Yeah, and it turns out I've been playing some rules wrong. You can apparently shoot everyone in the group can shoot if one guy can see, and you can take wounds from anywhere, even if they're not visible to the enemy. So that's kind of cool. I'm not going to bother spraying them out, but essentially, so that's deployment, right? So first turn goes shooting. How, as Blood Angels, are we deploying our dropships? What are we doing? Well, assuming we have everything covered in terms of our back line, and we're not advancing too far forward, we'd move up to those bunkers, of course. Just checking. Where would they come in at? Over here, probably. Would be their most likely deep strike location. So when we're deploying in the middle of the battlefield, because let's be honest, fighting Tau anyway, a shooting army, you probably wouldn't be seeing them run into the middle of the map. So how would we go on to the middle of the map to secure objectives? Because remember, the Tau could also deep strike their troops in for our objectives. So we would take our drop pods, and we'd say, okay, let's pretend it's turn 2. What are we deploying to do? You can use drop pods as line of cover blockers and terrain blockers. So if, say, we wanted to secure, let's say we wanted to secure objective 2, because 2 is a little bit easier to defend. So we could put our drop pods there. Oh. You see, are you on the ground? Yep. And we could make, essentially, what I'm proposing here is that you make a wall. Now let me just read the rules on the drop pod. Okay. Drop pod assault to the end movement phase. This model can perform more than 9 inches away from enemy models, but they... Okay. All embarked models must be set up more than 8. But it doesn't say any rules about putting drop pods next to each other. So, let's say, well, actually, realistically, these fire warriors would probably have moved up to this bunker. Again, this is not accounting for shooting. I'm just making assumptions about what would happen. These guys would probably just hang back, give that bubble. Again, moving forward, but giving a bubble. Let's say they move there and give a bubble. The fire bases probably wouldn't move too much. That would move up. Presumably, I'm assuming here. These guys would take this objective. And this is assuming you go turn 1. If you go turn 2, well, 1, you should have your backline covered, so the enemy should be deployed in front. But everything I talk about for the Blood Angels could also work for the Tau with respect to the way that they move. Again, their fire bases shouldn't be moving. Alright, so let's just say, for whatever reason, they've moved up like this, trying to keep everything defended. And now we could deploy. So, we have to be 9 inches away from enemy models. So how would we secure this? Well, you come over here, be like... Okay. So while we can't be there, we can deploy near there. So we can deploy... Actually, probably right on top would not be a bad idea. Deploying right on this bunker. Again, you can double check. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yep, 9 comes to there. So this would be a perfect spot, for example, to deploy. So you could drop your drop pod there, for example, and you would have... Oh, and I suppose turn 2, we would have all of our men pushing forward as well, probably hopping over these. At this point, this is what I, as a general, would be ordering all my guys to do. We'd be pushing forward as well. We want to get in range of, you know, the Tau's heavy support suits and stuff. Again, keeping generals back to provide that bubble. Maybe even, because of how much gap there is, maybe even shifting guys over. You know, we push these guys up. Just kind of holding the line. So, presume it's turn 2, everyone thinks getting closer again. I mean, it is possible to have a whole round where no one dies. It's not like it's impossible, but, you know, what are the odds? Come on, select. I'm having trouble selecting guys. So then we take our tactical squads, and we'd be deploying them strategically, right? So this is what you got to think about when you're deploying with drop pods in this army. These units are here as the screen, right? Now remember, these little fin things, they don't count as part of the model. So that's important to note. So again, if you look at the base of the model, because that's what you technically measure from. Here, I can even move this over, just to make sure it works just fine. You can have models come in here. Now you might not use the effect for the drop pod necessarily, but you can line up guys right here, for example. And you can just start rapid firing because you're within the range. That's why I'm not using melee troops coming out of here, because one, melee charging is tough. It's tough. I'm not gonna lie about that. And you must maintain coherency. You can't go through the drop pod or anything. But these guys will all be. Make sure everyone's within 12, and if they're not, adjust. You're within 12. You're gonna need to move. Could probably stand there. Let's see. Nope. Too close. What about you? There to there. Perfect. More than 9. Okay. So we'd deploy something like this, and we'd be able to rapid fire on our shooting phase, because it's at the end of the movement phase when drop pods come down. So you'd be getting 10 shots in, or I guess 8 shots, 9 shots. Yeah, 9 shots into these guys, unless you can, unless the captain can have or the sergeant can have a bolter. Let me see. Space Marine, 1 sergeant. Each model. Space Marine sergeant may replace his bolt pistol and bolt gun. So we can't have bolt gun. All right. So you'd want to be giving your sergeant a bolt gun so you can rapid fire, because essentially you're doing rapid fire shots. Just a bunch of shots. You're trying to screen, right? So let's take the other drop pods. Let's just go through this. I don't want this video to take too long. But we'll go ahead and say, okay, after seeing that and the way how well that went, we could maybe consider deploying on the environment. You gotta be a little careful with this, but you might be able to sneak a drop pod right in there. 9.2, excellent. And then that's definitely far enough away. So this would... make sure that... Okay. You can rotate it as necessary to make sure it all fits. Okay. From there to 9 point... There's 9. Yep. Excellent. 9. Alright. So... Yeah, so what you're doing is you're deploying drop pods, right? So then you have a second squad in the middle. Not over here. You don't want to deal with that. You want focused fire, right? So drop pods need to be working together. What's that fifth drop pod for then, if you're going to have two groups of two? Well, in case there's a bit... you don't know what you're going to see. You might need 3 squads on one. I don't know. In this particular case, you probably only need to set up 2 lines of fire, but in this case, again, you can keep them far back. You don't need to hide them. But you'll notice, see, you're trying to keep blocking line of sight. So actually, if you piled up your men in such a way that you could hide your units, you won't hide everyone. I mean, you just can't hide everyone. It's not possible. But again, you're using them to try and block. You're using your drop pods to block line of sight. Because keep in mind, you're also blocking line of sight for people behind here, right? So now these guys are protected by the drop pod. And let's see what these guys can see. So yeah, they can see them, but it's going to be tough. It's going to be tough. So again, you want to measure out 9. Let's check that guy. Ooh, 8.8. Ooh, let's keep pushing back a little. 9.1. Okay, that's barely out of range. And you could scoot these guys over if you need to. So now you have 2. You see, now you have 2 squads that are able to rapid fire. And essentially you're doing this all across the board. Look at how well it feels like you can have a big presence on the board, right? Like again, we do the same thing on the other side, but maybe less so. It's less big of a deal, right? We could pull this back even. You don't need to do anything crazy. So 9 is about to there. So that means deploying right on this crater is viable. These guys would probably be pulled around. They wouldn't be in a little clump for me to measure, for me to get away with my measurements. That'd be unrealistic expectations. Let's say they did that. But 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Okay. So this guy can land right in the middle. So what do you do when there's no objective to defend? You deploy right in the middle, and you deploy Marines behind 1/2 of the drop pod. So that way you're only rapid firing a certain amount. You don't want to be rapid firing into, like, exposing yourself, right? Now the enemy can move, obviously, but you don't want them to be able to just sit. So, for example, if you're worried about, one flank or the other, you put them so that way they can't see. Like, again, you could put them over here. Because remember, they just need to be... Bolters have 24-inch range, so they rapid fire at a range of 12. So as long as they're all within 12, yep, you're going to be able to open fire. And you just, again, pile them behind. And thanks to shooting rules, all the men can shoot as long as they're within the 12 range. They get rapid fire. So that's where the models matter. 9, excellent. Great. So if you're trying to hide from these guys, you might want to consider pulling people back, adjusting, getting those measurements just right. You're not supposed to do that. Okay. So if you look at the way you've deployed here, you can maybe see one guy. One guy can see one guy, right? From over here. So heck, even this guy, who's being seen? That guy? This guy could even be pulled backwards to there, so that way you're completely hidden. 12.4. Ooh, you don't want to do that. You want to be in rapid fire range. I mean, this guy. Ooh, they're both in. So again, double check your measurements. You want to, before you deploy the drop pod, you gotta see 9.6, 3, 2, 1, 9. So if that's 9. You could go to there and double check this since we moved it more than 9, and then you readjust, rehide your men. And if your opponent is friendly, it should be okay. They should be okay with you letting you make sure you do your right adjustments. Make sure everything works out the way you want to, because obviously you're trying to do some. Your opponent's not dumb. They know about it. You're hiding your men behind this to make sure that they're all in rapid fire range. Right. Excellent. See how we're using drop pods to hide this part of the army. Now you can't hide from everyone. You know, these guys will still see you, but this group can't. This group, they can't actually either. So you are hiding correctly, right? So that's how you hide. Now let's say you're deploying in the middle. How should you deploy a drop pod in the middle? If you know you're going to be exposed to everything, what do you do? Well, for one, make sure it fits. Because if it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Which it does not. So sometimes it might be advantageous to, rotate it so that way it lands correctly. It's going to be tough. Can't quite land. Well, it can. I mean, this isn't illegal, because normally in the tabletop you'd like move some terrain around to make it fit. Maybe there, actually. Looks a little better. Yeah. This whole bunker area is being taken out, but that's okay. That's okay. You can even deploy behind back in your own lines. You could do that, right? If you need extra fire support, like say you're being taken out, just give yourself this nice little wall here, protect your HQ. You can still deploy like that. It looks really cool. I like having drop pods. I think drop pods are really they're not the most efficient points wise, but they're really fun to use, right? And then you'd probably take that last drop pod, put it over here. You would actually just measure 9 inches away. You could come all the way up to here even, and you deploy over there. Again, if you want to try and hide from the bigger stuff, you can deploy this way. On this side, like we could take our squad. This is the cool part. So you could take your squad. You would deploy. They all fell apart. Or they lost their formation, I should say. They're not broken. Flip everyone over first. You could even push this forward a bit. Grab the sergeant. Okay. So again, keeping in mind you're measuring out to 9. Okay. And it helps sometimes to also lock drop pods after you deploy them, so that way they can't get moved around. So now you know exactly where everything would be. And again, you just need to be 9 inches away from an enemy, 2 inches from coherency, 3 inches within the drop pod, but 12 for rapid fire, for this rapid fire technique to work, 12 inches within rapid fire range. And again, you won't always hide everything. They can still see you, but as long as you're 9 inches away, but within 12, yep, you are killing some dudes. And for supporting the firing line, you'd be, oh, shit. Oops. And you could deploy right here on this wall. Now these guys don't have quite the range, so these guys would be preparing to charge. But, at 24 inches, you could still do some pretty good damage on any frontline troops, assuming you don't just kill them. So what we've created here is essentially a way to give us extra infantry if we need to in a particular zone. Right, because if, you look at these guys, 24 inches. Yeah, still 24 inches. You can still get single shots with these guys. And you just have a huge amount. This is a really big army, to be honest, for Blood Angels. There's a lot of guys you're putting on the table. Your backlines are still secured, and now Tau have to deploy even further if you go first. If Tau do this to you, all you do is well, one, they probably will move up more, to be honest, if they are going first and they know they'll deploy first. They'll probably push forward, but if you get lucky, they'll forget to think about your drop pods. And yeah, so this is a really cool looking board. I might even save this because it's a cool action scene. But yeah, this is what I would do for deploying a drop pod army, infantry army, shooting army. Next time, I'm going to show you more Blood Angels feeling army, something that feels like Blood Angels. I just wanted to give a general concept of the way I think about deployment, so that way you guys can go ahead and tell me if you agree, disagree, how you think troops should actually be placed on the battlefield, because some people like to say a battle is won in the deployment zone. I think that a battle is won by the dice rolls. That's just me. But deployment is what you can control. This is what we can control. This is what we can strategize and plan. And yeah, so anyway, guys, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed. I know this went a little bit long, but if you do have anything you want to say or add to the strategy portions of this, just let me know. Comment down below in the comment section. And as always, guys, I'm Elwirfy, and I'll see you guys next time.